G'day guys, we're here in one of the 3 places that I consider home. I moved around a lot as a kid. One of them I consider home is Broken Hill, the other Lismore, but the third is here. We're in Bourke, outback New South Wales. It's been over 10 years since I came home, and my wife and sons, who are down under here now playing in the Swollen River, have never been here, so it's going to be really nice to be able to share this place with them and show them around. Lived here from 1994 through to 1989 through to 1994, so just a 5-year stint, but it's when I was 7 through to 12, so you know, pretty formative years. Yeah, if you want, you know, let me be your tour guide for the town and come on my version of Bourke. Doing any good?
Yeah, we've had bites.
Yeah, right.
I caught a small yabby of sorts.
You got a yabby on the line?
No.
No, it's in the bucket, tiny one.
Ah, right.
Tiny little one.
She's up, eh?
And it's cold too.
What are you doing? Tell me a story,
5
Joe.
minutes to make.
Tell me a story, Joe.
Like, honestly, I don't think I've had a better wrap that's taken 55 minutes to make, because no one has ever taken 55 minutes to make a wrap. Ever.
Joe was quite hangry. And
I'm still hangry and I have my wrap now.
And the wait didn't. Walking the levees. We did most arvos in Bourke, as we were actively trying not to go home because home's boring. Levees are cool. Doing exactly what these two are doing now.
I know what you weren't doing.
What's that?
Eating wraps. Not enough time in the day to get wrapped.
How long have you been working on that line? You're pretty happy with how that unfolded, aren't you? This is the back of I can't remember. It's a historic motel. I'll show you the front of it when we get around there. What's in it? There you go. That's what it was called. The Bourke Riverside Motel. When I lived here, the family who bought it not long after we got here. Don't remember much about it, but I remember there was a girl, and I think her name was Alex. Remembering I'm only in primary school, but I remember having a mad crush on her because she was, you know, tall and blonde. That's all I can remember about her, but you know, she looked pretty good. What happened, Dar?
It's not funny.
What happened to the hour-long
55 minutes and it slides out the end of my paper that I had it wrapped in, and I hear this chook, and I thought a dog must have taken it out because I was standing there. No, just slipped out. So now I've got dirt to go with the best 55-minute cooked wrap.
And I got a
How
splinter
good. How
that
good.
doesn't have an end to it.
So the tour continues. This is where my old man used to work. It says Corrective Services on the front now, but it used to be Department of Community Services. Straight across the road here is the park. There's going to be a monument in there to Banjo Patterson, so it'd be good to get over there and see what that says now after we learn that little bit more about him up in Winton. And yeah, the bowling club over there, where I'm going to catch up with an old mate, Scotty Willoughby. So let's keep moving. So the house right behind me is the place where I grew up here in town, Mitchell Street. School just over there. The Norrises right next door, Trevor and Paddy. Paddy's old man Trevor used to drive trucks, and they had a huge shed, I think they still might, a huge shed out the back, and I used to sneak over all the time whether Pat was home or not, because he had the coolest He-Man and Castle Grayskull collection that was stored up in the top of that that shed on the mezzanine level. We used to get in there and play. But yeah, that was where I
Long
grew
walk
up.
to school?
Yeah, I was always late. So this is my school, St Ignatius Primary. I remember my very first day of school here. Luke Brown was the fastest kid in our class, year 3. And so you had to race him, had to find out if I was the fastest. And we raced across the whole asphalt playground all the way over, and then you had to touch this building and then run all the way back to the year 5, 6 classroom. And Cherry Brown, he was fast, he was real fast, but people kept getting in his way, and then I beat him, and he got so cranky he wanted to re-race, and I wouldn't re-race him at all. And then day 2, I came to school, and they'd already seen me run, so then had to work out if I could fight. So I got beat up by Kyle Lack. It sucked. Sister Marietta, this used to be her rooms in here, and she was this old sister, and she was terrifying. And if you didn't get sent to the principal's office, you got sent to Sister Marietta, and Sister Marietta would make you sweep the cracks between the concrete all over the school until, you know, she thought that you'd had enough. She was she knew how to keep us in line, that's for sure. But yeah, sad we can't go in, but we'll wander around, see how we go. One of the most vivid but traumatic memories I have of being in Bourke was standing right here. We were going somewhere. We were maybe an excursion or something. I can't remember. But we're standing here and we're waiting for the buses to come and get us. And Brendan Willoughby's old man pulled up out the front. I don't know, Brendan might have forgot something, or maybe Brendan was getting a lift. But he's pulled up here and he's jumped out of his car and just walking around the front of it, right here, to come. And you know, we're all lined up here. The bus pulls in to pick us up, but it squeezes Ronnie between his car and the bus, and it just rolled him. I can still see it clear as day. Everyone stop. They've been yelling, and so the bus stops, but then puts it into reverse and rolls him back the other way on the car. Again, everyone, like Ronnie was screaming, and everyone's like, stop. And so the bus stops, and a few of the teachers came, and it was an incredible feat of strength. And they've grabbed the car and then slid it sideways, and Ronnie's just dropped on the other side. But the whole time Brendan's standing right here watching his dad get crushed. It was horrific. Ronnie's fine. Well, you know, I remember him on crutches for a long time after that. Like, you know, it's just smashed his pelvis. But yeah, I kind of forgotten that story until I stood right here again. But there's a bell on the corner there just past the St. Ignatius school sign. And if you're a good boy, you got to go out and ring the bell at 11 and 1, and at the end of the day to let everyone know.
Did you ever get to ring the bell?
Once. I was a pretty good boy. But yeah, again, those beautiful buildings out the back. We used to sit out in this area and make that's not my dog, and make Johnny cakes. And my dog, whenever it smelled the Johnny cakes, would come running to school because he could smell the food, tastes delicious. And the teachers used to have a hell of a time chasing him off. So we're around the back side of the school now. We still can't get in. Very good fence that built, annoyingly. But this is the lunch shed.
Kissing shed.
Not the kissing shed. This is, you know, if anyone had a problem with each other, it was all right. Meet you behind the lunch shed, behind this shed here, and there was always a stink. Always a stink. Every single lunchtime. The best fighters, and they always used to fight each other though, and you never wanted them to pick you, was Paul and Shane Knight. I watched Paul one day, or maybe it was Shane. One of them, the older one, put his one hand behind his back and still flogged his brother. It was a bit of an eye-opener for a wide-eyed kid who moved here from Lithgow. It was not what I was used to at all, but now it's a funny memory. Yeah, the hospital again. We'll drive in there and do
your
a
side of the road, mate. It's good.
Joanna, there is no sides of the road in Bourke.
Oh, I realised there's no lines. I still thought he might stay on his own side.
Hey, we're here in North Bourke, the iconic North Bourke Bridge. It's a shame that you can't go out on it because this bridge has its own sound where when you used to ride your bike across it or when you would drive across it, it would be clunk, 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 from the loose sleepers, like the boys were jumping on them before. Wouldn't make the sound. I think it's because it's got tar on these, but you can see in the background, you know, it's obviously really loose now that they don't use it. But funny story with this bridge, you can see the corner in it, how it hoops around here. But they started building it from the other side, and allegedly it took them until they got to where the corner started to realise they were about to plough into the North Bourke pub, and so they just built a corner into the bridge. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it does make a good story. Sadly too, we just walked past the North Bourke pub and it's no more. I was chatting to one of the locals here and he said, yeah, burnt down 12 or 13 years ago. It was iconic place. My mate Johnny Barrett used to live straight across the road from it in a house that was a North Bourke sawmill. So we'll go check that out too, I reckon. The bridge is just over there, and so over there, and so, you know, the pub was huge. It used to fill this whole block down to these buildings here. So you can see how the story might have been plausible, that it was going to crash into the pub. Yeah, the Northie. I'm sure this is where Johnny Barrett's house was. He was one of my best mates when I lived here in Bourke. You've seen how close I lived to the school. I was only literally 100 metres, and I reckon Bourke's probably about 7 k's away. I used to ride my bike out some mornings, come and meet him here, and then ride back in. Half the time he'd jump on the bus, and I'd see the bus pass me as I was riding out to North Bourke, and he'd give me the big wave, and I'm like, and have to turn around. But yeah, I'm sure this is where his house was, because I reckon that's Shane Bates' house over there, and me, Johnny Barrett and Shane Bates used to play heaps of Mario and Silent Instinct on the Nintendo. But North Bourke, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Lovely green grass right now, tell you what.
Yeah, over here is Cricket Oval. I scored my first triple ton over here. Triple, yeah, 300 runs I got, and
Stay with us.
And took 10 wickets that day. So
I feel like there's a story that's not
yeah, it is a story.
Right.
Probably the greatest innings Bourke had ever seen. We're on Mitchell Street still. We're heading up toward the edge of town, and out here this way.
Oh, over here.
It's where Scotty Fieldsend used to live, and me and Scotty Fieldsend, we were pretty good young athletes, and every athletics carnival went head to head. And one of these houses might be his here. He set up in his backyard a long jump pit, but there was no sand. And what he did, he took the seat off a swing, and would take off from that board and just land on the hard dirt of his backyard. When we decided we weren't jumping far enough, so we had to go back to we were looking at the shops in town, because the 92 Olympics was on in Barcelona, and all the long jumpers were wearing tights, so we're convinced if we got ourselves some tights, we'd be much better long jumpers.
How'd that go for you?
Good.
Oh, solo up.
Silo art?
Solo art over there.
Oh, yeah. Out here is where my mum used to work.
Oh, Jeannie.
Yeah, the Bourke Base Hospital. Doesn't look like it's changed too much.
Bourke Base, Northwest Academic Centre. Ambulance over there at the hospital. Never a good sign.
There mum heard some words that she'd never heard before and came home and asked Dad about them. I don't know if I can say those words on this video, but if you ask me about that, I'll tell you that story. The Bourke pool is a bloody cool pool. It's got like a 3.5 metre deep end. I can't remember, but they used to have a 3 metre diving board, so it had to be really deep. Down the deep end was a grate, and as a kid I swam down and I stuck my fingers in the grate because I wanted to pull it up and out and bring it to the top to show that I made it down to the bottom, but my fingers got trapped. I'm 3 meters underwater, probably 10 years old, and can't breathe. So I'm fighting. I legit thought I was going to drown, and I eventually pushed so hard I tore the skin off my fingers.
Lucky.
But I made it up. That's one of like 50 times I nearly drowned as a kid. I nearly died as a kid. I'm pretty hardcore.
All caused by your own stupidity, by the sounds of it.
What? No.
Okay, good.
Know a story about the Bourke pool, and every person from Bourke will agree with this. Every single one. Best.
All 10 people from Bourke.
Shut your mouth. Best chip and gravy roll in the world.
In the world. How many chip and gravy rolls have you eaten past this?
Never ate one after I left
Right.
here.
So against themselves, they are the best. Is this like the best wrap cooked in 55 minutes?
It's a Bourke pool. So this one's actually pretty devastating. You know, a few things I've seen around town's burnt down. You know, Payless, it's been rebuilt. You know, it's a shopping centre. Who cares? North Bourke pub. That's pretty devastating. But this is the Oxley Club. I used to put on a movie like once or twice a year. Had a screen. But it also housed it was like the RSL as well. It housed all of the war memorabilia. So for it to burn down, you know, you've lost a huge chunk of history that you're not going to get back. It's really sad.
Oxley Club.
Coming up to the church now, and the Bourke church was often known as the Opera House toilet because it was like they tried to mimic the sails of the Opera House, but not your average looking church, but it's like they sliced off a bit of the Opera House and it landed in Bourke. Zoom in on that thing up there. Opera House toilet. So here at Rice's Cordials, Bourke now, and this place is iconic for Bourke. It's widespread all throughout Central West. The splash cola, world famous splash cola. If you ever see this, you know, get into it because it is good stuff. I used to spend my youth scabbing through bins all over town, just finding the old Rice's bottles and bringing them back down here because they did essentially a return and earn. I think, what was it? What, I get about 5 cents a bottle back then?
Maybe 10 cents and 20 cents.
10 and 20 cents back then, and we'd bring them in, and Sammy's dad, Ted, used to give me the option of cash or splash, so used to do a little bit of both, but yeah, you can often see me around town, like just my legs hanging out of bins and stuff. Splash cola, they do heaps of others, but splash cola is the best. It's like no other cola in the world. If you get the chance, get into it. So we're on the Mitchell Highway. We've just left Bourke, on the Mitchell Highway heading southeast, and my old man claimed, and I was with him the night, but he claimed that he caught the biggest fish of his life on this road. You have a look outside, you know, there's not much of a river around, but it's when Ningen flooded. I can't remember, maybe 93, but Ningen flooded. It flooded really badly, and all around here flooded, but the Ningen was, you know, the famous part of the flood. And we're driving out here out of town, and as the road got higher, the water got shallower, and up ahead Dad could see the ripple of a fish crossing the road essentially. And so he's jumped out with his net and he's hooked this thing, and it was a giant carp. The carp was so big that it broke his net. He's chucked it in the back. We had a basket in the back. We must have been fishing already for him to have the gear in the back of the basket. So I've chucked in the basket, and it just draped either side of this basket. It was huge idea, but to this day, then you know he'll never beat it. Biggest fish he ever caught on this road.
A rock into the river. Darling River.
Oh! I slipped.
Year 5-6 classroom. Michelle Renshaw, teacher, had her for 2 years. You know, the place hasn't changed much at all, unlike the rest of town, which seems to have burnt down.
Oh, Bourke.
And all
Hi,
my mates have
Michelle.
left.
Hi, Michelle.
And all my mates have left.
Hi, Jim. James.
Big rocket.
Just over here was where the Sisters of Mercy, the Indian nuns, I don't know if that's a politically correct term, but that's what we all called them. They had their home. And I used to visit them all the time. They held very high hopes that one day I'd become a priest. Nope. But I used to go and help them, and I really enjoyed it. There was a place just on the edge of town, down by the river, I'm pretty sure. You got to remember, every memory that I bring up is, every story I bring up is from the memory of a 7 to 12-year-old. So it's not going to be exact, but the
Is that like the 3-ton cricket story? Not quite.
no, I did. It was my first triple ton, 10 wickets. Plus I ran the 11th bloke out just for good measure. And there was a place called Bethlehem, where the old people who couldn't look after themselves, not like a nursing home, but I'm assuming probably drunks. And I used to go and help them. You know, we'd make their beds, we'd shower them, we'd clean up, and I don't know, you know, made me feel good. It's a happy memory, that one. Geez, the darling looks great, doesn't it? No, seriously, it looks bloody great.
Seriously, it does. Really does.
So, guys, from a very swollen and lovely to see flowing Darling River, that was my tour of Bourke. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, thanks for coming along on that little journey, nostalgic journey with me. It's really good to be back here. Really, really good to be back.